Good day, everyone. I am Matt Harrison, and you are listening to the Geary Cast, the Malaga fan podcast for all the Gearys out there. Malaga remain undefeated on the road this season, even though that impressive sounding stat has to be caveated by the fact that they are yet to win on the road either, with them drawing each away game so far. The latest victims of Malaga's travelling draw machine was Cadiz, who looked to have the game in the bag as they went 2-0 up before half-time. However, if we've learned anything over the past 9 months or so about this Malaga team, it is that they never know when it is done. And once again, they fought back from 2-0 down to earn a good point on the road. As always, a big shout out as well to those travelling fans who braved the pouring rain to watch our remontada. And speaking of Malaga fans and pouring, I am joined tonight by someone who's going to help me pour over this week's Malaga news and that Cadiz game. I'm joined by Chris Marquez. How are you, Chris?
Very well, thank you. It's raining in Malaga.
Yes. If you see my eyes look up elsewhere, it's because I am watching the Spain game against Serbia, which is happening right now in Cordoba, which of course is just north of Malaga. And it was absolutely pelting it down there. It's calmed down a bit.
But it's good because we need a lot of rain.
I say to anyone, if you want to fit in on the Costa del Sol and sound like a local, anytime it rains, you just say, but we need it. That's the
thing, because it's coming to a point now where we really needed rain because the water is we're almost out of water.
Yeah, I did get caught last night. I went to watch the Wales game in the tavern. And just as I was about to leave after the Wales game, that crazy sort of downpour of rain came. And I thought, oh, well, I suppose I better stay for another wine in the town.
But you're Welsh. I'm somewhere I have a bit Dutchness in me. I mean, there's no better feeling than like getting really soaked from the rain and then getting home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. That's quite nice. I'll say the other day, it was quite, obviously, for those that don't know, I'm a teacher. When I was teaching yesterday morning, it was still raining quite a lot. And my year 10 class were really, really they really wanted me to open all the windows. So while we were having the lesson, they could listen to the rain. And they were very calm. And
Did you open the windows?
Yeah, it was nice, actually. I sort of, they had to do some quite sort of boring like short story annotating, but they all just relaxed them. It was good. And can you knock one of the lights off as well, sir? So it was quite dark. It was a bit
really
weird.
You're quite a nice teacher.
Yeah. So I mean,
there probably are a lot of teachers who would say no, the windows stay closed.
Well, I was a bit worried they'd get distracted by the rain, but it had quite the opposite effect. But anyway, it seems like we are distracted by the rain because we've spent the first few minutes talking about rain. So let's move away from rain. And actually, I suppose we're going to stick with rain because it was raining goals for Atletico Malagueño this weekend. They won 5-0 again, Chris. Chupete got 2 goals again. I've not really spoken to you about this. I said on a podcast a few weeks ago, I think he should be going for the starting 11 now. I don't want to jump ahead too much to our preview podcast, but what were your thoughts on Atletico Malagueño thumping someone again and Chupete still scoring?
They're doing very well. The question is, if you take him away now from Atletico Malagueño, well, they have this great start.
That's true.
Where do you leave Atletico Malagueño?
Fair point. I guess it's
on the other side. The most important team isn't Atletico Malagueño, but I have doubts not about Chupete, but more about maybe we should get him to get more confidence first with Atletico Malagueño. Now that he's scoring so many goals, if he reaches the 40 this season with Atletico Malagueño, he will be more confident next season, and maybe then.
True.
And with the home games, he can also always be on Okay, give him some playtime.
Yeah, that's true. Get him sort of, yeah, you can sort of jump between both. I
Yeah.
guess like maybe in the few weeks before we've had our doubts about some of our strikers, and I'm sure we'll talk about in this game that one of our strikers is playing very well at the moment. So maybe it's not as much of a we need someone in to score goals. But yeah, I think that's a good shot. I think I'd definitely like to see him given some minutes in home games. I want to see the celebration, the sort of the salute thing he does quite a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah, just while we're talking about our younger players, a lot of them have been, well, two of them, I should perhaps say, have been playing for their under-19s teams this past week. So Antonito's played 3 games for Spain under-19s against Germany, Norway, and Romania. I think they won against they lost against Germany, beat Norway, and drew with Romania. Antonito got an assist in the 1-1 draw with Romania. Did you see how he got the assist?
Nope.
He got the assist from a corner. Of course, it's a corner because that seems to be good at those. Although I think it was actually an own goal. I think he put it in the box and they deflected in. So I've not seen the goal, but I did read about it. So that's good. Perhaps while we're on Antonito, I should actually flag up the other story as well about his transfer marked value, which transfer marked seems to be more of a thing these days, that his value has gone up more than any other player in the Segunda División. So he was worth 200k, and now he's worth 2 million euros. I don't get too excited about that stuff, but it is semi-interesting, Chris.
I don't know where Transfermarkt gets their data from. A few years ago, I've been looking the value of Malaga players and a lot of players. And once I found Dirk Kuyt on it, and Dirk Kuyt was worth 300,000 euros. Since then, I never believed Transfermarkt again.
I guess it comes to, like, I don't know, future value and stuff. So I don't know, maybe as players get older, it does go down. Like I said, I don't really understand it, but I just noticed that like that website or that company is being sort of used a lot more in like sort of stories about players and things like that. So just thought it was semi-interesting. So I thought it was worth a mention. But yeah, Aaron Ochoa Maloney has played 3 games as well, featured quite in all 3 games against Greece, Mexico, and Croatia for the Republic of Ireland. So good experience for him. And although he doesn't play for us anymore, we should give a shout out to Roberto, who scored for Spain under 21s. I think it was tonight or last night. I can't remember. But in Algeciras in a 6-0 win against Malta. He came off the bench for Omorodian, who scored 4 goals. But we're still happy to see Roberto doing well, aren't we, Chris?
Of course.
Yes, and yeah, he looks comfortable in a Spain shirt already.
Although I like to see him do well with Spain, I like to see him do well at another club, but maybe not with Braga anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, I suppose that is a fair point, but yeah, we won't cheer against him quite yet, though.
No.
And then, yeah, just the only other real bit of news is, of course, we said on last week's pod about our Copa del Rey draw against Estepona. The fixtures were all sorted last night. We shall be playing them on a Thursday night at 9 p.m. on Halloween night, actually. So hopefully we don't have a scare that night against lower league opposition. But the one thing we don't know, Chris, is where it's being played yet. Do you have any feelings about where it's going to go? Because I know La Linea has been mentioned the most, I think.
I think the most logical place is La Linea, because I've heard Quique Perez say in an interview earlier this season that opening La Rosaleda costs about 30,000 euros per match. Malaga isn't going to pay that amount of money because they're not the host, and I don't see Estepona paying 30,000 euros to open La Rosaleda for a night.
Yeah, and also like the whole point of this, the big thing in this competition is they like the lower league team to be the home team, don't they? So it loses that as well. But yeah, I don't know. Did you sort of get excited that we were playing a neighbor? Because I sort of said last week I'm not really that bothered. I don't know. Were you?
No.
Okay. I'm not even going. I'm going to the other part of the country to watch Copa del Rey football instead.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that for Estepona fans or people from Estepona, this might be a very huge match.
Yeah, true.
I would prefer Torremolinos instead, maybe.
I think that was the Geary cast consensus. I think especially Luke wanted us to play Dormelinos, and
I think, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going to watch San Andreu against Mirandes.
Yeah,
in the suburbs of Barcelona, because I've got a week off work, so I wanted to go on a little holiday. So I thought I would try and make it a football one. So I'm going to Barcelona. I was hoping to get into 2 cup games because there's lots of the Barcelona-based team are at home, but I've been invited to. I get San Andreu. I don't know if it's said different.
You've been invited.
Well, yeah, because I was debating where to go, and then a guy I know that lives in Barcelona, apparently him and his friends are season ticket holders there, and I was going to go to say Europa, and he said, no, come with us. There's a better atmosphere. It'll be easier to get tickets. It'll be more fun. So I went, well, why not? So I'm going there.
Sounds good.
And then I go to watch Girona on Saturday. Girona. Yeah. Against Leganés. So that's my upcoming. That's my copper week. But this is not the Catalan football podcast. But if it is one, and you need a guest that week, there must be. I bet there isn't a Catalan football podcast. There's probably plenty of Barcelona ones.
But I don't, not a real podcast, but I think Graham Hunter is very much based in Catalan football, isn't he?
He is. Well, he's perhaps more. I think he's just based in Barcelona, isn't he? He did write. I've always sort of thought he was a bit of a Barcelona fan, but because of the book, maybe, and he wrote the book so well. But I think he is just married to Aberdeen, his original club. But yeah, if you're about Graham, I'll buy you an Estrella Damm. Anyway, we'll go from the very sort of northeast of Spain down to the southwest of Spain now to Cadiz, pretty much almost like the edge of Spain. It feels like almost.
Is this a travel podcast?
It is, yeah. It's becoming more like that. We did a lot of Costa del Sol ground hopping chat last week with our excellent guest Matt Jackson. But yeah, it's very unfortunately, Chris. I would love to tell you about my travels in Cadiz, but I didn't travel there this weekend because it, as you know, not easy to get tickets for these nearby games. But as I said,
I wanted to go as well, but I also didn't get any tickets, so I can't tell you about it either.
Yeah, it's a lovely city, but we covered that last week. But there's 400 to 500 fans did travel. They had like that sort of top corner. Certainly looked quite wet, especially during, I think, just before the game and bits of the first half. It did seem to dry out a bit, but let's not get into rain and weather again. I'm being very British tonight. Let's go straight into the starting 11 because there was a lot of changes this week. So I'll just read perhaps the headlines and you can perhaps tell me if there's anything I've missed out. Kevin was back in, of course, after his few weeks out injured and having came off the bench the week before. We kept the same defense as the previous game with Victor, Alex Pastor, Monte, and Joaquin Gabilondo. We seem to, like, with Aaron Ochoa not available, play a bit more of a flat midfield three with Manu Molina, Lucas Sangali, and Izan Moreno coming in, who hasn't started for a long time, it feels. And Dioni back up front and La Rubia out wide. I've pretty much said the whole team there, so I couldn't miss anything. But what were your thoughts on the starting 11, Chris?
I think it makes sense with Antonito out and Ochoa. Mm-hmm. I think it makes a lot of Ochoa. I think it makes a lot of sense to start with Kevin. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I quite like.
It's hard to say because I already know what happened in the match. So
yeah. I guess for me, the thing I wanted to see a little bit more of, perhaps, or what I thought we'd see more of, because we didn't have Aaron Ochoa Maloney as that number 10. I was hoping David La Rubia would cut in to that gap a bit, and yeah, I think that midfield three before the game, I thought, okay, I can see how that could work. But as I'm sure we'll get to, perhaps one player in particular didn't quite work for me in the middle. But I was happy to see the same fullbacks from the week before. But again, there's one of them I'm going to single out. And I'm sure you perhaps picked out as well. Is that, any more comments? I guess, are we still happy with Dione ahead of the other strikers?
I think he's the man.
Well,
I would like to see a 4-4-2.
Okay, yeah, that's. Nick seems to be claiming that he's invented this 4-4-2, and he's the one that wants to. And I think we've all said like it would be quite good to see.
I think I've been saying 4-4-2s for 2 seasons now.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I quite, I'm sure we'll get on to it. I quite liked how we finished this game, so we'll get to it. I thought generally in the first half, Chris, and before the goals, the Cadiz goals, which we'll get to shortly, I thought Malaga started pretty well and were controlling the game without perhaps.
Yes and no. The first 10 minutes were for Malaga for sure. We created a good chance in the first 10 minutes. But the second the second 10 minutes were definitely for Cadiz.
Do you know what?
Created some good changes, some good chances. And
to be honest, sorry.
It was definitely for Cadiz the second 10 minutes. Then Malaga came back in the 20th minute pretty well. So it was a bit Cadiz and Malaga. 10 minutes for Malaga, 10 minutes for Cadiz, and it went on like that.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think I came up with our little sort of podcast agenda, and I sort of wrote it before. I sort of did it off the top of my head, and then I rewatched the highlights, and I think I forgot to change this because when I watched the highlights, I was like, oh, like they had loads of chances.
Yeah.
So I sort of shocked me when I watched it back because in my head I was like, oh yeah, we sort of controlled that half, but yeah,
very good chances.
Yeah, again, Alfonso Herrero, looking good again. I don't think we.
But also, Matt, because it wasn't. Although they had the chances, we also were big parts of the first half. We were in control.
Yeah,
so it wasn't only Cadiz.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go to it because obviously, as you said, they were creating stuff as well, Cadiz, and I don't know. Sometimes people say, "Oh, it was inevitable that Ontiveros was going to score," but we've played against him a lot since he's left, and he's never been very good against us, and is always pretty useless, actually. But obviously,
he scored before against us. I don't know where he played there back then, but he scored before against us.
Has he? I don't remember. But actually, he might have scored when we played away at Villarreal B. And I think we were 2-0 up already. So maybe I just didn't notice and we won 2-1 because I think he played in that game. But yeah.
I remember him scoring against Malaga.
Okay. But anyway, in this game, he scored 2 goals. Let's go to the first one. Let's talk about the goal first. Was it a good goal or bad defending?
Bad defending more than, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'd sort of Joaquin, who I was very much full of praise for last week. I thought because obviously Pugas had the right back spot, and I thought Joaquin was excellent last week, but he was bad in this game.
He really was. He, I don't know how. I mean, Ontiveros had all the space to put it in.
Yeah, that's true. That's not Joaquin's fault there, is it? It's the cross coming in as Joaquin's fault. Ocampo had him all that first half.
What a player, Ocampo, by the way.
Pardon?
What a player, Ocampo.
Yeah, he was very good. I like him. Yeah, he is good. I will say to Ontiveros, I don't want to be too full of praise for him here, but I think the ball does deflect a tiny bit, and he does have to adjust to sort of direct his header. It's a nice header into the corner, to be fair to him. It's not an easy goal, and obviously he's not famous for his headed goals. And we obviously
there should be a Malaga player next to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a way, I think Herrero's a bit caught off guard that the headers so in the corner, because I don't think it's Avero's fault. I think it's just a well-placed header. Let's also talk about the other perhaps talking point of the goal, that Ontiveros is never going to celebrate Malaga because Malaga gave him everything. It felt a bit like a celebration to me.
Yeah, to me as well.
The sort
Players say everything to I don't know.
To be honest with you, I've got no problem whatsoever with players celebrating against their former club. You don't have to go mad or anything, but because, for example, I always remember being at Anfield and watching John Joe Shelby score a screamer for Swansea against Liverpool, and we were all going mad, and he wouldn't celebrate. And we're like, come on, John Joe, like, you play for us.
I understand it. I wouldn't celebrate it either.
But I think
it depends. It depends.
But yeah,
because you're from somewhere near Swansea. You have been a Swansea fan all your life. If you would play for Swansea through the youth, it's your home team. It's your favorite team. Would you celebrate a goal against Swansea?
No, but like, I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. I do I understand when some players do come out of it. Like, I get, again, maybe I'm thinking that maybe the Shelby example is a bad one because he wasn't really a Liverpool youth player, but yeah, I don't know. But if you're gonna do it,
let's say if I don't know, Steve Gerrard.
Okay, that's
went to Tottenham. Went to Tottenham, and then he scored a goal against Liverpool at Anfield.
Well, famously, Frank Lampard scored for Manchester City against Chelsea and didn't celebrate. I sort of get it, but equally, if you aren't going to celebrate, don't do like press conferences before saying, I'm not going to celebrate. And then, he did sort of stop himself, didn't he? And then sort of just laugh to himself. And I'd even say the second goal he did celebrate, which is fine. But,
I don't care. But yeah, then you shouldn't say that you're not celebrating.
Yeah, I don't like that one. But again, I disliked him even more not long after because he got a second goal, and I think it's the same story, really. Chris, a cross from the left again comes in too easy, and I don't know. He's got space to header in again. It's quite a good header across goal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, and I've been saying this, I guess, the whole season. We have one problem, and that is our defense. It's totally different than last season, where I thought we had the best defense probably in the Primera RFF, if you ask me, or one of the best defenses.
I think statistically we did.
And our biggest problem was attacking, was scoring goals. And now it seems to be the other way around, because I think we're not lacking of goals.
Well, my thing was, I've always said, I don't even think, I'm not saying our centre-backs have been perfect, but I think our problem all season has been crosses. We seem to let in a lot of crosses and concede from crosses. And
I also think the midfield is a bit of a problem, because last season we had Genaro. We had a very defensive midfielder, as a person as Genaro is. That helps you a lot. I see in a lot of matches that we are being run over at the midfield.
But I mean, with the fullbacks, I think I said last week that when we played Depot, we changed our two fullbacks and we defended great down the wings. And I thought, perfect, problem solved. And then I thought, actually, to be fair, Victor, I don't think did too much wrong in this game. I think, to be fair, I think we could just put this down to Joaquin just having an absolute nightmare.
But that's also a thing Joaquin has more. It's not. He has his good matches and he has his bad matches, isn't it?
That's true, yeah. I guess Pugar is slightly more steady. I have said, and I still stick to it, I do think Joaquin's a better player, but yeah, you're right. He does have these sort of performances in him, definitely. But so 2-0 down at halftime, which felt very harsh to me. I don't know. I think we've addressed, I think you said, it was a bit back and forth the game. I suppose as easily we could have gone in 2-0 up at half time. But yeah,
I
I think,
think I also think it's difficult because we are biased, aren't we?
of course, yeah. Of course, yeah. But I think, I can take my biased hat off most of the time
Yeah.
here, but maybe I don't think it's so much my biased hat this time. I think it was more I watched the game with plenty of bottles of Victoria, which made me think Malaga were playing much better, probably.
Malaga played very well, to be honest. Malaga wasn't very bad. It's
But
just defensively we look sometimes
suspect.
A bit weak.
Yeah, and I guess this links to something you've just said. Really, we've already talked about hockey and how he was having a little bit of a nightmare, and I think he was rightly subbed off at halftime. The other one subbed off at halftime was Zangai. I didn't think he was very good either.
No, but if you look at last season, how much he played for Malaga, it wasn't much, was it?
No. Yeah, and I've always been quite defensive of him, and I've said I think there's a good player there. And I was thinking about this yesterday when I was thinking, like, we're recording this podcast. I can't really remember too many games where I thought, "Oh, he looks brilliant." He's shown glimpses, and for some reason,
there is a good player in him.
Yeah, but
it doesn't come out, and football isn't a place where you get a lot of chances, is it?
No, but that's it. Like and you've just said the same thing as me. You've pretty much quoted me. Like, there's a good player there, and then I think about it, I'm like, but have I seen evidence of it? I don't know.
No,
I still.
when you look at a player, I mean, you can say if he has good football in him, you can see that.
Yeah, and I think if I remember rightly, he started last season really well and got injured quite early, and like you said, he comes from an academy like the Real Sociedad Academy, which, produces good footballers, and he's got a bit of grit about him. Yeah, there's something not quite clicking there for me, especially when you look at who was playing next to him. As I said at the start, Izan Moreno started his first game for a long time, and obviously he's much younger, and he looked a hell of a lot better than him, I thought. I think he's been excellent the past 2 games.
Definitely. Yes. But that's also when we signed Ruben Castro, isn't it? Or what other players did we sign that season?
Ndai.
Yeah, well, maybe a bad example, but
but I don't know what the point you're trying to make. What you're trying to say about Ruben?
I mean, we had a lot of players that season who have good football in them.
Okay, like
sometimes it doesn't come out.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's talk about some of the good football coming out of Malaga in the second half, because we had a little bit of luck, I think, with the ball down the wing. Their defender sort of misjudged it and slipped a bit, but Dione went through on goal. I was screaming for him to pass it across the goal, but he did a bit of a shimmy, buried it in the bottom corner to make it 2-1. Good goal, Chris.
It's a very good goal. I can't remember we saw a goal like that.
No, not from him.
No, or from anyone. A goal that way.
Yeah, it was like he used his body really well, didn't he? The sort of shimmy, and the goalie didn't expect it to go. Because when I saw it, I thought the goalie had a bit of a nightmare and had gone in the near post. But he does sort of sell it and make the goalie go sort of the wrong way at first, and then he realizes it's too late. But I guess this is as good a time as any.
I can't remember a Malaga player going.
There was a couple of Roberto moments last year where he ran through on goal and scored, but not sort of dummying the goalie like this. But
no,
I think this is perhaps a good time to discuss Dione, because I think this must be one of his games in a Malaga shirt, if not his best game.
He played a very good match. I think we see his real quality now, because playing him from the side like we did last season, and we said it many, many times in many, many matches he played last season, that we should play him from the center of the attacking, and that's going very well, because he has to work less now. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know. Did you see his interview with how do you say this? Is it CN1 TV or Uno Zero?
101 TV.
Okay. So those. Did you see his interview with them? And
No.
he talked about that he didn't play any minutes in the game against Racing Ferrol, the first game of the season. And he said he was watching the game as he warmed up, and he said he thought to himself, this game's, he's 34 now. He was like, I need to get fitter to play in this league. And I think he said he's cut things out of his diet. So I don't know if he meant his bocadillos or not. He didn't specify, but he said like he's been working really hard physically, and now he's playing up front by himself. He's realized that he's got to do less running around the pitch and save himself for those moments. So it was quite interesting that's exactly what happened.
Let's not forget, he's the player who scored most goals in Primera FF. He's a player that had the possibility probably to go 10 times to Segunda. He never did it.
No.
And now he's at Segunda.
But I think we talked about this to death last year, so I don't want to go over old ground, but we kept saying about him playing as a number 9, but he was the one that seemed to keep saying that I'm not a number 9. And I was like, but your record shows you are. I never really understood it. Yeah, but no, he kept saying I'm more of a number 10. It was really weird.
I think he said that to not cause friction between him and Pellicer, or with the press and yeah. I mean, I think he put himself in how do you call it,
well, he was quite selfless, wasn't he, and sort of did what the team. And looking back now, like, we look at all the goals Roberto scored and things like that. Perhaps a lot of it comes down from Dione sacrifices his place on the pitch, or sacrificing his preferred position. I don't know, but he's been brilliant at the start of this season, and long may it continue. Like you said, it was pretty much, though, that made it 2-1. There was still that amazing chance for Cadiz, and where they shot pretty much straight away, and Herrero hit it across goal, and Alex Pastor made a hell of a tackle. It was a certain goal. I thought he has looked pretty good the last 2 games, Alex Pastor, actually, since he's come back in. I think I said from the first few games he's a little bit erratic, but I really, really like him.
I really, really like him as well.
Okay, that didn't fill me with confidence.
But he didn't show it yet.
I think he showed it a bit in the Racing Ferrol game. That's when I got excited, because he was going up the pitch a bit. I don't know, I think I said on, I can't remember which podcast, a few weeks ago, that I think I really like him as a sort of a character on the pitch, perhaps more than, is he the sort of centre back we actually need? But I think,
if you look at all the new players who came in, if you have to pick one favorite,
that's a good question, because I guess the obvious answer would be, like, the most effective appears to be Luismi, but I probably would say, oh my God, sorry, I just watched Alvaro Morata's just skied a penalty beyond belief. It's flown over. Alex Pastor, probably, sorry. I think he, but I can't. Lobete, I haven't really seen. Luismi, I think.
You can't also, I mean, we can't really criticize him for that. He got
no, I don't mean that, but I mean, I can't really choose him.
Yeah,
I feel like I've forgotten someone. I feel like there was 4 or 5. I can't think who else we've signed. My mind's
Castel, maybe.
Yeah, Castel. I think he's the one I like the most. And we talked about Rocco last week. He's got a lot to prove still. I think he's not great.
I'm not a Rocco fan.
No, I'm saying I'm not. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to get me convinced that he's good.
I don't even think he's good.
Well, that's what I mean.
I just think he has a beautiful last name, and that's it.
I think he's got a beautiful first name. I think it's a cool name all around. But yeah, like, I guess this is perhaps. Actually, no. But before we talk about the Castel goal, like, obviously Cadiz carried on have chances. I think Payet made good substitutions again, actually, because I thought, for example, I thought Kevin was like good in the first half, particularly like first half an hour, but clearly looked a little bit tired second half, especially, he's
Makes
come back.
sense.
Yeah, and I thought Romani looked pretty good in this game compared to other weeks, because I think he's been very hit and miss. Danny Lorenzo, I thought, was pretty positive when he came on, and I can't really say I noticed Juanpe too much, to be honest with you, but not to say
Did you ever notice him?
I did in Racing Ferrol. I couldn't stop noticing him in Ferrol. He's one of the best.
And he's also a player with peaks and bigger lows, isn't it?
Well, to be honest with you, I've only seen one peak, and I was at Ferrol. I thought, oh my God, he's ready for this Segunda season. And then who did we play at home? Mirandes. I thought he was awful. This is the first home game. So yeah, I don't know what to make of him, but I'd say him and Sangali now, the way it's looking, I think they're both behind Izan Moreno at the moment. Obviously he's still young, Izan Moreno, but he's not going to start every game. But I'd say in regards to
here's also the thing, because I was listening to a Dutch podcast. It's called the Core Podcast this weekend, and they were talking about young players or players who play freely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Without like fear.
Yeah, without fear. And that's the young players. And why? And they said it because it's a podcast created by professional footballers who are still active. Okay. And they say, once you're young in your first season or in your second season, it doesn't matter if you make mistakes. They let you make mistakes because it happens when you have that age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, I suppose.
But if you make a mistake, it's no problem because you're young. It's your first season there. You know what I mean?
I think as well, though, I agree with that, but I think it depends on the club and the circumstances. So, for example, the reason why I was perhaps so impressed with the team last year was there's a lot of young players in our team last year, and there was a lot of pressure on them to get us out of that league straight away. And the fact
I don't know if there was pressure on them, and that's the thing.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because you can't put pressure on Aaron, on Choa Maloney, and you can't put pressure on Antonito. You just can't.
This is what I think. I've said it before, that I think that was perhaps people. I know people are sort of up and down with Payet, but I think that's the best thing he did all last season was how he we've got these brilliant young players, but I think he managed them like spot on. He put them in when they were on form. He recognized when, he didn't want to knock their confidence and took them in and out. And,
the pressure was on Genaro, was on Manu Molina, was on Dioni, but not on youth team players.
No. And then obviously Roberto just, started scoring from the start, didn't he? And he was never going to lose confidence. And, but yeah, I just think he managed them really well. And I think he's managing them great now. Obviously Antonito started a lot of games, but he's
that's what they said, like the first season or the first two seasons, when you're coming from a youth team and you start to play with the first team, those are the best seasons, or the best seasons. Those are the seasons you can play without without any pressure.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you make a mistake.
I guess the flip side of that is if you do make lots of mistakes, you lose your place in the squad. But yeah, I get the general message.
Yeah, but you don't have to be in the first squad yet. You know what I mean? And after 2 seasons or after a season, with a lot of players, you will see a downfall with 2 players.
Yeah.
And that is because that's the moment, and that's what they said on the podcast. I don't know if it's true. I'm not a professional footballer. I never felt any pressure. Blood pressure. That's the only pressure I felt. But what they say is the moment they are expected and they are getting a bit more pressure, that is when they when they hide a bit.
Oh yeah.
And that's what Van Nistelrooy said when he started to play for Real Madrid. When he played in Manchester, he was the Ruud van Nistelrooy we all knew. No, but when he went to Madrid, it didn't go very well. He got a lot of critiques. The people in the stadium were not very happy with him. So what did he do? He went invisible. He said that in the same podcast a few weeks ago. I went invisible, where I had all the confidence at Manchester United, at Real Madrid, I would get the ball, and where at Manchester United I would make an action. Now at Madrid I would just pass the ball away, just to be invisible, not to make any big mistakes.
Yeah, he didn't do bad though. I think he did win Pichichi eventually, didn't he? So his time at Madrid was pretty spectacular. And speaking of class strikers, let's go on to Malaga's second goal. Sergio Castel from the bench. He's been great off the bench, I think, in the past couple of games. He's not like the perfect footballer, far from it, but he's always there. He always seems to be around, causing a bit of havoc. And yeah, it was great. I think it was, I can't remember who took the shot. It might be Danny Lorenzo. Forgive me if I got that wrong. It was saved, and he was there in the right place and calmly rolled it in. And
that's what you do, isn't it? Be in the right place at the right moment.
Yeah, I really like him. I'm not saying at the moment, I think he's really good off the bench. And, I think we've already talked about his perhaps lack of fitness when he arrived, his definite lack of fitness when he arrived. I don't know if he's up to scratch now, but I'm happy for him to keep coming off the bench, to be honest with you. I really like him.
There also should be a point where you need to start with him as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
You can't play full 90 minutes. And the only way I can see that happening is in a 4-4-2 with Dioni, which I think would be a perfect combination.
Yeah, me too. I think I think this might have been a good game to try it without Aaron Ochoa being available, and that space there like open. But good finish. I don't think we'll see him starting anytime soon, but yeah, I'd like to. I'm Castel curious still, but would we say? Obviously, it was a great comeback in the end. We were good second half. A good point again, Chris. Are you still happy to just keep getting the points on the road?
Every point is important, definitely in your away games. I mean, let's be honest. Cadiz came from Primera División, relegated. If before the season started, everybody saw them as one of the big teams.
Absolutely, yeah.
And of course, they're not doing very well, but still, it's still Cadiz.
Yeah, it's a derby. They've got a good, on paper, they've got a good team, and we look good. I think we went toe to toe with them, and a draw was probably fair in the end. That does now put us in sort of equidistant between the playoffs and relegation, 3 points either side. So be nice to try and get a few more home wins under our belt, which we'll come to when we do the preview show later in the week and talk about whether we can against Real Oviedo. But for now, we'll finish up with the Cadiz part. Let's go to our Chumbo and Biznaga. I think I know where we're going with our Chumbo, but I'll ask you first, Chris. Who is your Chumbo?
G.I. Joking.
Yeah. Actually, we did.
This week.
Yeah, we did use G.I. Joking as Joaquin as a title to celebrate him last year, but it was he had a bad night, and I don't want to crucify him, but yes, he was definitely my Chumbo too, but also. Sangali, I still wasn't really impressed with him either. I had both of those written down, but just because he was more.
I've never been really impressed with Sangali so far. I only played for Malaga. So.
Yeah. Spain have just scored 2 finally, or just scored to make it 2-0. So it's a bit of a live score. Alvaro Morata making up for his penalty loss. As Spain just keep missing chances too. Anyway.
I love the fact how you do live commentary of a Spain game
Well, because I keep forgetting like we're on a video now, so people might see me like reacting to something in the background. Or
well, we are not posting this till tomorrow, and everybody will know the score already.
I think they will. I'm just trying to create a bit of
I think it's nice.
A bit of atmosphere of what's going on right now, and Alvaro Morata looks very happy. Anyway, Biznaga. So I'll come to you again first, Chris. Maybe feel free to throw in some honourable mentions too.
I know everybody's expecting me to go with Yoni.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I'm not doing that. Honorable mentions for Yoni.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm interested to see where you go now. So carry on.
Honorable mention for, I don't know. I wasn't really impressed with any other player, really.
Can I give an honorable mention then while we're talking about it?
In my name, sure. Give it.
We've not really talked about him, and I think he did get a bit quieter, but I was quite impressed with David Larrubia, actually. I thought he
played very good.
Because I think he's so up and down, like over the past, certainly since the two.
But again, he has to put some more. When he shoots on target, it's always these soft balls in the keeper's hands. That's the thing that irritates me of him.
Yeah.
So please don't give your soft balls to goalkeepers anymore.
I was just thinking we definitely got to just cut to that bit of the podcast where you say soft balls in the keeper's hands.
No, but how do you say it?
I don't know. No, you're right. You're spot on. Like his shots are a bit weak, I guess.
Yeah.
But no, soft balls was fine. It just I was just being childish.
But he played very good.
Yeah.
Didn't see him that good this season so far.
No.
Honorable mention for Alfonso Herrera, of course. Saved us. But that's getting a bit boring to give him to Biznaga every week.
Yeah.
I'm going with my Biznaga will go to King of the Castel.
Ah, nice. Sergio Castel, yeah, okay. Why? Because obviously I talked about him. What impressed you in this performance apart from the goal?
His goal, and whenever he comes on, he puts in some danger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I'm giving it to him.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shame, wasn't it? I can't remember who the game was against. That header at La Rosaleda when like absolutely thundered it against the crossbar. I can't remember if the keeper saved it, but it was close.
But also in his first match when he wasn't fit at all. When the moment when I was more fit than Castel, he also had a very good chance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think I had him written down in my honourable mentions. I think I've really perhaps mentioned mine already. I thought Izan Moreno was good. I'm not saying like he was spectacular, but for like a young guy, I thought he did a really good job. And obviously, he is sort of taking the place of Luismi, who's much more experienced. I've already mentioned him. I maybe just for the block he made, but I thought Alex Pastor was good, and that block was amazing. But yeah, okay, I'm going to be the predictable one then. I'm going to pick Dione because I thought he was excellent. But yeah, I think
he was the king of your Castel.
He was, yes. But yeah, I think it's quite promising that between the two of us there, have highlighted quite a few of our starting 11 and people off the bench that have played well, which I think shows that it was a good game for Malaga, and it's just
we played good against Granada, we played good against Deportivo, and we played good against Cadiz.
Yeah,
and I think we should have received more in those 3 matches.
Yeah, I do too. I should say, by the way, I don't know if you saw this stat, but we are now in the top 2 divisions of Spain. We are the team with the most draws, which didn't really surprise me when I saw that, because it does feel like we've drawn a lot.
The only problem I have with all these draws is that you only play, how many matches do you play? 40, 42?
42, yes.
42. That would give you 42 points at the end of the season. Yeah. We won twice already, but we also lost 1. So that could give us the amount of 45 points at the end of the season, if I'm correct. Yeah. I know with math person. But
Well, you just need to draw the next 30 games and then win the last 3, and we're fine.
I mean, how many matches are there left?
Oh God, Chris, 33.
33. And we already have 10 points or 11.
Yeah.
That would leave us with 48. It's not enough, is it?
No, well, it might be enough. It's 50 is the almost like guarantee, isn't it? I think it's high 40s usually, but yeah. But like you said, we turn some of these draws at La Rosaleda into wins, and we'll see from there. So again, as I say, we will talk about the next game at La Rosaleda on the preview show later in the week. So come and join us for that. But Chris Marquez, do you have anything to add about this game in Cadiz?
No, not really.
No, not me. I think we've covered all bases there. So we'll start wrapping things up there. I will say thank you, Chris Marquez.
Thank you, Matt Harrison. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Or not everybody. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Why not everybody?
Not everybody's listening.
All right, I thought you said everyone that's listening. I thought you meant there's some people listening who you don't want to...
I started with saying thank you, everybody, for listening, but not everybody's listening. I'm working on my English.
No, it's fine.
No more softballs. It's a sport in America, isn't it? Softball.
Yeah, it's something like baseball, isn't it? But I don't know the difference.
We played it at school when I was young. But thank you all for listening, and keep following us. Share, like, retweet, because that helps.
Tell you one thing we need to do more and tell people to do more. And if you're listening, we have the same sort of group of people listen all the time. Obviously tell people, but leave 5-star reviews on whatever your podcast thing. That's the thing. Yeah, that's what gets podcasts up algorithms, I believe.
Really? Does it help?
Yeah, massively so. That's all the big podcasts are always about. They say leave a review. Don't leave us a 1-star review. Just leave it if you think we're shit. You don't need to leave anything.
And send nudes.
Yeah, okay. I don't have access to the Geary Cast Twitter anymore.
I will send you them. Don't worry.
Anyway, on that bombshell, we will leave it. And I also, I echo Chris.
And subscribe on YouTube. That's important as well. Subscribe on YouTube because we want to grow on YouTube.
There you go. I shall echo all of Chris's follow and tell people comments there. And I'll say thank you as well. And we'll see you later in the week when we'll do the preview show. So for now, adios. And as always, vamos Malaga. Okay, I was trying to find the badge.